My dad slapped me, said, "Since you can't have kids, your brother will carry the legacy." Then gave my brother the entire family business. I walked away and watched everything crumble. Sup Reddit. Imagine your father promising you the family business your entire life, making you skip college to work 70-hour weeks building it from the ground up. Then one day he calls a meeting about succession planning, and you show up thinking it's finally your turn. You have no idea what's about to hit you. Grab some popcorn because this gets wild. So here's the setup. I, 34 male, have a 33 brother Cole. Our grandfather built a wholesale restaurant supply company from nothing back in 1978. By the time this story kicks off, we're sitting in 3 warehouses, 2 showrooms, and roughly 200 commercial clients across the state. Restaurants, hotels, schools, hospitals. If they needed commercial kitchen gear, they went through us. Grandpa came from nothing, built everything with his hands, taught me the business from the time I could walk. I spent my childhood in those warehouses learning to operate forklifts, manage inventory, and deal with difficult buyers. When he died in 2005, Dad took over. Did decent expanding the client base, but he was more interested in networking than grunt work. I came on full-time right out of high school in 2008. I didn't see the point in college when I already knew what I wanted to do. Truth was, Dad made the choice for me. Cole was struggling through his sophomore year at some expensive state school, failing half his classes and retaking courses he'd already bombed twice. Dad sat me down senior year and explained how one son needed the college money more than the other, how Cole needed extra time and support to succeed, which meant tuition for 6 years instead of 4, how I was already good with my hands and didn't need a degree to work in the family business. "You'll get the business someday," Dad said. "That's better than any degree. Cole needs this more than you do." I believed him. Stupid maybe, but I was 18 and trusted my father. So I skipped college while Dad paid for every semester, every apartment, every expense Cole racked up at his fraternity. It took Cole 6 years to finish that 4-year degree, but Dad covered it all without complaint. Meanwhile, I was pulling 70-hour weeks, learning the supply chain inside out, building relationships with manufacturers, negotiating better deals on commercial ovens, walk-in freezers, industrial dishwashers. I turned our inventory management from Excel sheets into an actual database that saved us $500,000 in the first year alone. Under my watch, we went from 3 warehouses to 5. Client list tripled. I brought in 2 major hotel chains and a casino resort, ordering over $1 million annually. I knew every product code, every supplier contact, every delivery route. I was the guy restaurant owners called directly when they needed something fast. Cole showed up for quarterly meetings, threw around buzzwords like synergy and vertical integration, then disappeared for 3 months. But he had that college degree Dad loved bragging about. And he had the one thing that mattered most: a wife and 2-year-old daughter. The favoritism was blatant. Dad bailed Cole out of everything, paid for his 6-year degree, bought him a new truck after he totaled the old one at 17, slapped a VP title on him after maybe 200 total hours of work. When I asked for a raise after bringing in that casino account, Dad said the business couldn't afford it, despite our most profitable quarter ever. I stayed senior operations manager while running everything that mattered. But I stayed because I loved the work, loved helping restaurants get off the ground with the right equipment, loved solving logistical problems, loved that clients trusted me enough to call at midnight when their walk-in cooler died, and they had $10,000 worth of food about to spoil. When I was 30, I found out I couldn't have kids. Some genetic thing doctors couldn't fix. Around the same time, I met Erin at a trade show. She ran purchasing for a small hospital chain, came by our booth looking at commercial kitchen solutions for their cafeterias. We grabbed coffee, then dinner, and I realized pretty quick she was the smartest person I'd met who seemed to like me. We married a year later. She's direct, doesn't take garbage, understood from day one I worked insane hours. Never complained when I bailed on plans because some restaurant's equipment arrived damaged. She even learned enough about the industry to have conversations about it. My family hated her immediately. Mom made it clear at our first family dinner, Erin wasn't the right fit. Kept asking pointed questions about when she'd have kids, making comments about how Cole's wife came from a family with better connections. Erin smiled and changed the subject, but I saw her face tighten. Then the infertility thing became public knowledge. The disrespect went nuclear. At a family dinner, Cole asked if I needed tips on being a real man, suggested maybe Erin should find someone who could give her what she wanted. I told him one more word and I'd put him through the table. Dad jumped in, told me to calm down, said Cole was playing around. That's when I knew. They saw me as the workhorse who'd keep things running while Cole enjoyed the glory. I stopped going to most family events. When we showed up, I made clear any disrespect meant we were gone immediately. Followed through twice, just stood up mid-dinner and walked out when Mom started her passive-aggressive garbage. It helped a little, but the damage was done. Dad called me on a Monday morning. Not a text. Not an email. An actual phone call, which he never did unless something big was happening. Need you to come in Tuesday afternoon for a meeting, he said. Important discussion about the future of the company. Succession planning. Time we made things official. I felt something loosen in my chest. 16 years of waiting, and this was finally it. The conversation I'd earned. The moment where all those 70-hour weeks and missed holidays and sacrificed opportunities would pay off. Yeah, absolutely. What time? 2 o'clock, conference room. I'm sending a formal agenda so everyone's prepared. Everyone. That meant Cole would be there too. Made sense. We'd need to discuss his role, his ownership stake, how we'd split responsibilities. I was already thinking about how generous I could be, how I'd make sure Cole had enough to feel valued even though I'd be running things. I told Erin that night. She smiled, hugged me, said she was proud of me, that I'd earned this, that Grandpa would have been proud. I'd been waiting for this conversation for 16 years. Ever since he'd told me to skip college because I'd get the business someday anyway. This was it. Finally. I showed up expecting to finally hear the plan I'd earned. Dad announced 85% ownership transfer to Cole, the other 15% split between him and Mom as a retirement cushion. I sat there processing while Dad laid out his reasoning. Cole has a business degree and fresh perspective to take things to the next level. Modern approaches for a changing industry. Then the real reason, Cole has a family. He needs to provide for his daughter. Build something for the next generation. The implication hung there like smoke. I couldn't build a next generation, so why would I need to own anything? Cole sat there with this fake, humble expression, talking about job security, how my experience would be invaluable during transitions. We'll make a great team, Cole said. Me handling strategy and vision while you keep things running day to day. Like he was doing me a favor, letting me keep working at the company I'd built. I looked at Dad. I brought in the casino contract. I tripled the client base. I built the inventory system that saved you $500,000. What exactly has Cole contributed besides showing up twice a month to take credit for my work? Dad's face turned red. You're being emotional. Cole has the education and forward thinking we need. You can stay on as operations manager with a solid salary. That's a good position. Emotional? I stood up. I've given you 16 years. I rebuilt this place from the ground up while you were golfing in Arizona. And you're handing it to the guy who needed 6 years to finish college because he kept failing basic business classes. The room temperature dropped about 20 degrees. Cole's face went pale. Mom looked at her hands. Dad stood up slow. Real slow. What did you just say? You heard me. Cole's a loser. Always has been. The only reason he has that degree is because you paid for him to retake the same classes 3 times while I was here building your company for free. Dad moved fast for a man his age, for a man his patriot. The slap caught me across the face hard enough that I tasted copper. My ear rang. The room tilted slightly. I didn't move, just stood there with my head turned from the impact, feeling the heat spread across my cheek. You ungrateful piece of trash, Dad said. His voice was shaking. After everything I did for you, giving you a job when you had nothing. No education, no prospects, no future. I turned my head back slowly, looked him dead in the eye, felt blood on my tongue, where I'd bit the inside of my cheek. You told me I'd get the business someday. That was the deal. I skip college, work for free, build this place into something worth having. And now Cole needs the money more because he managed to knock someone up? That's the new plan? Mom tried to touch his arm. Honey, everyone needs to calm down. But Dad was on a roll now. Got right in my face, close enough I could smell the coffee on his breath. You want honesty? Fine. You were a mistake. Your mother got pregnant when we were too young and stupid to know better. We did our duty raising you. Cole was planned. Cole was wanted. Cole has a real family and a real future. You can't even manage basic biology. That's when I stopped being his son and started being his problem. The room went silent. Cole was staring at his shoes like they were the most interesting thing in the world. Mom wouldn't meet my eyes. Dad was breathing hard, but he didn't take it back. Just stood there with his hand still raised like he might hit me again if I said the wrong thing. I touched my face. My fingers came away with a little blood from where his ring had caught my cheekbone. You know what the funny thing is? My voice came out quiet, calm. I actually believed you. Believed you when you said I'd get the business. Believed all those times you said I was doing good work. Believed I was building something that mattered. I picked up my jacket, looked at each of them one more time. Cole, You're going to run this company into the ground in 6 months. Dad, you just lost the only person who knew how anything worked. Mom, enjoy your retirement fund. It'll be gone by Christmas. I walked out of that office and straight to my truck. Didn't look back once. I was done being angry. It was time to get methodical. They wanted to see what the business looked like without me. I was about to give them a front row seat to the collapse. I'd spent 16 years building systems they didn't understand. Custom inventory tracking software I'd coded myself. Client relationship databases with notes on every buyer's preferences, budget cycles, pain points. Supplier contacts cultivated through years of relationship building. Proprietary pricing algorithms that gave us edges in negotiations. All of it was in my head and on my personal drives. All of it was about to walk out that door with me. I started packing. Not just personal stuff. I copied every file, every database, every contact list. The inventory system's source code was on my laptop. I'd built it on my own time, own equipment, own resources, legally mine. Client management system with detailed notes on every account, copied to encrypted drives. Years of supplier negotiations, pricing strategies, market analysis, all into my backpack. Then I removed my access. Changed passwords on systems only I knew how to run. Deleted my login credentials from the network. Removed myself as contact person from every client account I could access. My personal tools went into my truck. Specialized equipment I'd bought over the years for custom installations. Diagnostic tools for industrial refrigeration systems. Grandfather's old toolbox he gave me when I turned 18. All mine, paid for with bonuses I'd earned. I called Aaron from the parking lot. They gave it all to Cole. 5 seconds of silence. Then, good. Load it all up and come home. They never deserved you anyway. I drove home with 16 years of proprietary knowledge in my truck and a plan forming. I was going to burn their legacy to ash and build my own from the embers. My phone started blowing up within an hour. Dad sending long texts about family responsibility and how I was being immature. Cole messaging about valuing my expertise and wanting to work together. Mom leaving voicemails about breaking Dad's heart and being selfish. I blocked all of them. Aaron was waiting when I got home. Took one look at the bruise forming on my face and didn't say anything. Just pulled me into a hug and held on tight. We stood there for a minute. Maybe longer. When she finally let go, she said, "What do you need?" "A lawyer, a good one." I was sitting across from my attorney by Tuesday afternoon. 3-hour meeting where we went through everything. The guy was sharp, no nonsense. Came recommended by Aaron's former boss who'd gone through his own business dispute. We spread out 16 years of documentation across the table like we were planning a hostile takeover. Started with the IP ownership. Every file on my laptop had timestamps showing when I created it, what equipment I used, even metadata proving it was coded on my personal machine during off hours. The inventory management system? Built it on weekends starting in 2015 on my own laptop I'd bought with my own money. Receipts still in my files. Client database? Started that in 2012 using software licenses I'd purchased personally. Even had the credit card statements. Pricing algorithms? Those were literally Excel formulas I'd refined over a decade, all stored on my personal cloud account that the company never had access to. My attorney pulled out a legal pad and started taking notes. "This is all yours. No employment contract defining work product, no company equipment used, no company time. They can't touch this." Then we got into the promises. I had emails going back to 2010 where Dad explicitly referenced my future ownership, text messages from 2014 talking about succession planning with me at the helm. Even a handwritten note from 2016 thanking me for my dedication to the business you'll inherit someday. The attorney actually grinned. Promissory estoppel. You relied on these promises to your detriment. Skipped college, worked for below market wages, built their company. They profited massively. Courts hate this. We got into the wage stuff. 70-hour weeks, documented through my own calendars going back years. Never saw a single overtime check. I'd tracked everything thinking I'd eventually get properly compensated. Turns out I'd been building a legal case without realizing it. Then we calculated the real damages. Ownership value based on what the business was worth before I left? Around $900,000. Unjust enrichment from profiting off my systems, my relationships, my work? Another few $100,000 easy. "They're going to argue you were fairly compensated with salary," he said. I slid over another folder. Performance reviews I'd kept copies of. Every single one praised my contributions, but recommended against raises. An email from Dad to the company accountant from 2018 explicitly saying to keep my compensation static despite record profits. The attorney looked at me different after that. You've been documenting this for years. I trusted my family, I said. But I'm not an idiot. He drafted the demand letter that week. 12 pages of detailed legal claims backed by 40 pages of exhibits. We sent it certified mail to Dad, Cole, and the company's registered agent the following Monday. We had them pinned on 3 fronts: IP ownership with proof, wage theft with documentation, and written promises they'd broken. The letter opened with a timeline of my contributions from 2008 to 2024. Every major account I'd brought in with specific dollar amounts. The casino contract, $1.1 million annually. Riverside Hotels, $750,000 annually. University system, $350,000 annually. Documented the warehouse expansion I'd managed. The inventory system that saved them $500,000 in the first year alone. The client base that tripled under my management. But that was just the warm-up. The letter laid out 5 separate legal claims, each one backed with case law and documentation. The letter ended with a deadline. Respond with a serious settlement offer within 10 days or face immediate civil litigation. It made crystal clear they were screwed without my systems, and even more screwed if this went to court. I had my attorney include one more thing, a polite note that I'd be happy to discuss licensing my systems to them on an ongoing basis. For fair market value, of course. Really twisted the knife when they realized I held all the cards. Dad called me 3 days after the letter arrived. I let it ring twice before answering. Wanted him to sweat. What the heck do you think you're doing? His voice was shaking. Angry, but I could hear the panic underneath. Protecting my intellectual property and getting compensated for 16 years of wage theft. Wage theft! I gave you a job, a career. This is how you repay me? I stayed calm. Kept my voice flat. You promised me ownership. Multiple times. In writing. Then gave everything to Cole. That's called promissory estoppel. My attorney explained it in the letter. You should probably have your guy read it again. You're trying to destroy us. Destroy everything your grandfather built. No, I built it. Grandpa started it, you coasted on it, and I actually built it into something valuable. Then you gave it to someone who can't run a lemonade stand. I'm just making sure I get paid for my work. He tried a different angle. Our attorney says you don't have a case, that everything you created belongs to the company. I actually laughed. Your attorney is the guy you golf with on Thursdays, who does contract review for small businesses. He's never litigated an IP case in his life. My attorney specializes in this, and he's very excited about our chances. This is extortion. No, extortion is working someone 70 hours a week for 16 years while promising them ownership, then giving it to your favorite son instead. This is me collecting what I earned. Silence on his end. The systems you're trying to claim, he finally said. They were built for company purposes, using company knowledge, on my personal laptop, on my own time, with software I purchased. Check the metadata on the files. Every single one shows creation outside business hours on equipment registered to me personally. Your attorney will explain why that matters. More silence. You're really going to take us to court? Your own family? You slapped me and called me a mistake. Cole's your family. I'm just the guy who built your company and got screwed for it. Now I'm getting paid. He started to say something about how we built this together. How family should... I cut him off. We didn't build anything together. I built it. You took credit. There's a difference. Talk to your attorney about the settlement offer. Or don't. Either way, I'm done with this conversation. Hung up while he was mid-sentence. Blocked his number 30 seconds later. Texted my attorney. Dad called. Tried to intimidate me. Recorded it. My state was single-party consent for recording. Every conversation was documented now. He texted back within minutes. Perfect. Keep recording everything. They're panicking. Cole called the next day from a different number. I picked up just to see what angle he'd try. Hey, man. His voice was trying for casual, landing somewhere around desperate. Can we talk about this lawsuit thing? I think there's been a misunderstanding. I didn't say anything. Let the silence stretch. Look, I know you're upset about the ownership decision, but this legal stuff is crazy. We're family. We can work this out. Still nothing from me. Dad told me you think we're using your systems without permission, but we can pay you for those. Like a consulting fee or something. We don't need lawyers involved. I almost laughed. Consulting fee? Yeah, like, we could do a monthly payment. Keep you involved. You'd still be part of the business. Cole, your entire operation runs on systems I built. The inventory tracking, the client database, the pricing models, the supplier relationships. Without those, you've got warehouses full of equipment you can't track and clients you don't know how to service. What's that worth to you? He tried to sound confident. We can rebuild those. Might take some time, but Riverside Hotels called my personal cell yesterday. Asked if I was still with the company. I said no. They said that's unfortunate because they're up for contract renewal next month and don't know who to talk to. That's a $750,000 annual account. How many of those can you afford to lose while you're rebuilding? Silence from his end now. I kept going. The casino group? They only worked with us because of my relationship with their VP of operations. I've known the guy for 8 years. You've met him twice. University system? I spent 3 years negotiating that contract. You showed up for the signing ceremony and took photos for Facebook. We have all the client files. You have names and phone numbers. I have relationships. There's a difference. His voice got tight. You're trying to sabotage us. No, I'm protecting what's mine. You're just realizing how much you needed me. Should have thought about that before Dad gave you everything. Cole's nice guy act dropped. You're just jealous. You can't handle that I got chosen for this and you didn't. You got chosen because you have a kid. That's it. Not because you earned it, not because you built anything, because you managed to reproduce and I can't. Congratulations on your one accomplishment. At least I have a life, a family, real responsibilities. You're just bitter because I cut him off. How's the inventory system working out? Can you track stock levels yet? Because I'm getting texts from suppliers asking about missed orders. Apparently nobody knows what you actually have in the warehouses. We're handling it. You're guessing. You've been physically searching 3 warehouses for items because the tracking system's locked out. How many man-hours are you burning on that? 20? 30 per day? He didn't answer. The client database is encrypted. You can't access the notes about account preferences, buying cycles, decision makers. You're flying blind on every sales call. The pricing algorithms are gone, so you're either overbidding and losing contracts or underbidding and losing money. Should I keep going? You can't just steal company property. I laughed for real this time. It's not company property. Check the file metadata. Created on my personal laptop, stored on my personal cloud drives, built outside working hours. It's mine. Your attorney will confirm that if he's worth anything. Cole was breathing hard now. Dad and I will make sure you never work in this industry again. 3 clients called me this week. Want to know if I'm starting my own operation. I told them I'd think about it. How many more do you want me to have those conversations with? You wouldn't. I already copied my entire contact list. Every client, every supplier, every manufacturer rep I've worked with over 16 years. They know my name. They know my number. Most of them don't even know yours. So yeah, I absolutely would. This is extortion. No, this is business. You're just on the receiving end for once. Doesn't feel great, does it? He tried to recover. Look, we can negotiate. What do you actually want? Read the settlement demand. It's all laid out. Or don't, and we'll see you in court. Either way, you've got about 2 weeks before your first major fulfillment failure. I'm guessing 4 weeks before you lose a big account. 3 months before bankruptcy. But hey, at least you've got that business degree Dad paid for 6 years to get. Hung up. Blocked his number. Aaron came home an hour later. How'd the call with Cole go? About like expected. He tried friendly, then threatening, then desperate. Told him to read the settlement demand. Think they'll actually settle? They don't have a choice. Without my systems, they're hemorrhaging money. They just don't know it yet. The cracks started showing within a week. First client called my cell on a Thursday. Regional restaurant chain. $180,000 annually. Their VP of purchasing sounded frustrated. I've been trying to confirm an order for 3 days. Nobody can tell me if you guys actually have the equipment in stock. Are you still with the company? I kept it professional. No, I left recently. They're handling things now. Well, they're not handling it very well. We need 6 commercial ovens by month end, and I can't get a straight answer about availability. I'd recommend calling Cole directly. He's running things now. She sighed. I tried. He said he'd check the inventory and call me back. That was 2 days ago. Because Cole couldn't access the inventory system. Had no idea what was in stock or where to find it. They were probably physically searching warehouses right now, trying to locate ovens. I'm sorry I can't help, I said. Not with the company anymore. If you end up starting your own operation, she said carefully, you should let me know. I smiled. I'll keep that in mind. Third client didn't even bother calling the company. Casino Group VP reached out to me directly. Heard you went independent. We're looking at equipment upgrades for 3 properties. Interested in bidding? I'm considering my options, I said. Give me a few weeks to see where things land. Take your time. We'd rather wait for you than work with whoever's running things now. Their attorney sent a weak response to my demand letter 2 weeks in. claimed the company had rights to all work product created during my employment, requested a meeting to discuss terms. My attorney read it and smiled. They're screwed and they know it. That's not a legal argument. That's a surrender flag. He sent back a counter letter that tore their position apart, pointed out the lack of any employment contract defining work product ownership, highlighted the timestamps on my files, proving creation on personal equipment during personal time, cited 3 IP cases directly on point, then added a friendly reminder. If they wanted to fight this in court, discovery would expose 16 years of wage law violations. Every hour I'd worked, every overtime payment they'd skipped, all public record once we filed. No response for 8 days. Meanwhile, the business was actively falling apart. The hotel account I'd heard about? They canceled. $90,000 annual contract gone because Cole personally drove out there to smooth things over and somehow made it worse. Casino Group reached out to me directly again. Didn't even bother calling the company. Just wanted to know if I was available for consulting. I said I was considering independent operations. They said to let them know when I decided. 3 warehouse employees quit when paychecks got delayed by a week. Cash flow was getting tight. All those operational failures were costing money they didn't have. I heard through the industry grapevine that Dad was working 80-hour weeks trying to hold things together. Cole was basically living at the warehouses. Mom was apparently crying a lot. Couldn't bring myself to feel bad about any of it. My settlement demand was still on the table. $420,000, full IP ownership in writing, release from any non-compete, and written acknowledgement of my contributions. They had 30 days to respond or I filed the lawsuit. Day 29, their attorney called mine begging to schedule mediation. I told my attorney to make them wait 3 more days. Let them sweat through the deadline. On day 32, we agreed to mediation for the following week. I spent that time preparing my own company launch, filed LLC paperwork under a new name, secured a warehouse lease in the next county, reached out to 2 former employees who'd quit the family business. Both accepted positions with me immediately. Started lining up credit with manufacturers. Based on my relationships and industry reputation, 3 suppliers offered me terms better than what Dad's company had. One supplier rep was blunt about it. We only worked with them because of you. Happy to work with you directly. Got my systems running on new servers. Loaded the inventory management software, client database, pricing algorithms. Everything ready to go live. Just needed the settlement to close this chapter. Settlement mediation took 6 hours. Conference room downtown. Neutral mediator who clearly didn't want to be there. Their attorney showed up looking exhausted. My attorney arrived in a suit that cost more than Cole's monthly salary. Dad and Cole walked in looking like they'd aged a decade. Dad had lost maybe 20 pounds. Cole's hair was starting to go gray. Mom tagged along for moral support, eyes already red from crying. Aaron and I showed up calm and professional. I'd worn my best suit, wanted them to see I'd moved on. Their attorney opened with a lowball, $100,000, and I sign a non-compete. My attorney started packing his briefcase without saying a word. Wait, their attorney backpedaled. Let's discuss this. The mediator asked us to state our position. My attorney laid it out clean. Promissory estoppel damages based on ownership value, $950,000. Unpaid wages with documentation, $340,000. IP misappropriation, ongoing damages for every day they use his systems without permission. Unjust enrichment, disgorgement of profits attributable to his contributions over 16 years. He let that sink in, then continued. We're willing to settle for $420,000. Full IP ownership confirmed in writing, complete release from any non-compete clause, and written acknowledgement of my client's instrumental role in building the company. Dad actually laughed. Bitter, angry sound. You want us to pay you to destroy us? I spoke for the first time. You already destroyed yourselves. I'm just getting compensated for what I built. This is what you wanted all along, Dad said. To take everything from your family. You took everything from me first. 16 years of promises. 16 years of work. Then gave it to someone who can't run a lemonade stand. I'm just collecting what I earned. Cole tried his move. We can't afford that. You're bankrupting us. Should have thought about that before you gave my inheritance to the guy who needed 6 years to finish college. The mediation went in circles for 3 hours. Their attorney kept trying to negotiate down. My attorney kept pointing to the documentation. The mediator kept trying to find middle ground. Finally landed at $285,000 paid over 18 months. Full IP ownership in writing. Complete release from non-compete, and written acknowledgement that I was instrumental in the company's growth and success from 2008 to 2024. I agreed. It was enough to fund my company launch and growth. More importantly, it was validation in black and white. During the signing, Dad wouldn't look at me. Cole's hands were shaking. Mom kept trying to catch my eye, looking for some sign of reconciliation. I ignored all of them. Just read through the settlement documents carefully, making sure every clause was exactly right. When everything was signed, I stood to leave. Dad finally spoke. I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything your grandfather built. I stopped at the door. Grandpa built something great. You destroyed it when you gave it to someone incompetent. I'm just building it back the right way. Walked out. In the parking lot, Aaron squeezed my hand. How do you feel? Free. 3 months after the settlement, my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Cole's voice came through. Hey man, look, I know things got rough between us, but I need to talk to you about something important. Call me back. Deleted it. He called again the next day. Then, the day after that. Finally picked up on the 4th call. What? I need a favor. His voice had this weird mix of pride and desperation. Just hear me out. You've got 60 seconds. The company I'm working for, they're cutting positions. Mine's on the chopping block. I've got 2 kids now, a mortgage. You're doing well. Really well. I was thinking maybe you could bring me on. I know the business inside and out. I could help you grow even faster. I waited a beat. You mean the business you said I'd run into the ground? The one you called a hobby? Come on, that was years ago. We were all stressed. Your 60 seconds are up. Hung up. He texted me later that night. Long paragraph about family, about how blood should matter more than business, about how I was being petty and vindictive. Said I was punishing him for Dad's mistakes. I replied, you made your own choices. Live with them. 2 weeks later, Dad showed up at my warehouse. Didn't call ahead. Just walked in during business hours like he had any right to be there. My receptionist buzzed me. There's a gentleman here asking for you. Says he's your father. Tell him I'm busy. 5 minutes later, she buzzed again. He says he'll wait however long it takes. I let him sit there for 2 hours. Had 3 client calls, a supplier meeting, and lunch delivered. Finally went out to the lobby. He looked older, smaller somehow. What do you want? Can we talk? Privately? I didn't move. Say what you need to say. He glanced at my receptionist, then back at me. His jaw tightened. Fine, I made mistakes. I see that now. Cole needs help. He's got a family. You don't need to hire me, but maybe you could find something for him. He's still your brother. And you're still my father. Didn't stop you from destroying what Grandpa built to prop up your favorite. I thought I was doing right by both of you. No, you thought you were doing right by Cole. I was just the workhorse who'd always be there to clean up the mess. His face went red. I came here to make peace. And you're still what? Still holding you accountable? Yeah, I am. So that's it? You're just going to watch your brother struggle? The same way you watched me struggle for 16 years while you gave him everything? Yeah, exactly like that. You've changed. You used to have a heart. I still do. Just not for people who only value me when they need something. I walked back to my office. Didn't look back. Security escorted him out 10 minutes later. Cole lost his job 3 weeks after that. Took him 4 months to find another one, making even less. Dad's still working at 63, doing the kind of grunt work he used to manage. And me? I'm building something they'll never touch. Turns out I sleep just fine at night. First settlement payment hit my account a week later. $50,000 up front. Rest in monthly installments. I opened my business that same week. Lean operation. 1 warehouse, not 5. Targeted inventory of high-margin equipment instead of trying to stock everything. Automated management using my refined systems. Small team of excellent people instead of a bloated workforce. The 2 former employees I'd hired were worth 10 of Dad's warehouse crew. They knew the business, knew the clients, worked efficiently. Suppliers were eager to work with me. My industry reputation was solid. Some manufacturers gave me better terms than Dad's company had ever gotten. Landed the regional hotel chain contract worth $650,000 annually. They'd specifically sought me out after hearing I'd gone independent. The casino group came on board. University system followed. 3 major accounts right out of the gate. Meanwhile, Dad's company limped along for 8 more months before they had to sell. A regional competitor bought them out for $550,000. Pennies compared to what it had been worth when I was running operations. Dad and Cole both had to take jobs with the company that bought them. Dad as a regional sales manager making maybe $65,000. Cole in warehouse operations making $45,000. They were employees now, working for someone else. In the company they'd once owned. The irony was beautiful. Mom and Dad sold their house to cover debts. Downsized to a condo. The retirement fund they'd kept in the business? Gone when they sold for next to nothing. My company hit $2.8 million annual revenue by month 10. I run a tight ship. Fair wages, good benefits, clear expectations. Employees who work hard get rewarded. Nobody gets handouts. Nobody gets carried. Everything Grandpa would have wanted. Cole sent me a Christmas card last year. Generic thing with his family photo. Handwritten note inside about hoping we could reconnect someday. That enough time had passed. I threw it in the trash without responding. They lost their legacy. I built mine. I don't lose sleep over it. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.